So that was the presentation by a group last year, and the problem was pollution, right? Increasing pollution in cities like Hanoi. It's not just Hanoi, it's all major cities, right? Hanoi, Kuala Lumpur, Bangkok, Delhi, this entire belt has extreme pollution, right? And then what they came up with was a mask, but these are high-end masks. People who could afford to pay that much for the masks that they are buying, right? Because there's a sector of what do you call it, society who will be ready to pay that much. Okay. So they've got their slides, which is an example presentation from last year. You want to have a look. So this first few slides talk about the threat, the problem, how big the problem is, okay? And you can see a lot of this is taken from the pitching side as well, all right? Because a lot of information does come from your pitching slides. You define the problems, right? Then they're talking about, I don't know why did they put brand identity, because I did not ask for that, right? But this is talking about the location of their facility, how many office. This is talking about, again, a mix of everything, but they speak about the legal structure as well. Very simple, they want to have a JSC. That's the rationale. Why do they want to have JSC? Okay, this is a company who was asking for a lot because they knew they were going to go big, right? So they decided to go for JSC right in the beginning. All right, big investment, big revenue potential. Okay. That was their organizational structure. I would like to have more, right? And do not forget, for a company, a smaller company like yourself, forgot the group number. For you, this organization chart will not make sense, right? Right? For what you're selling, you don't need a CTO, CFO, CMO, all the CCOs, everything, right? So think very carefully. Most of the startups will not have such a complex structure. You're not there to earn a manager's post. You're there to make money and solve problems. Yeah. Then I'd ask them to have one process, one key process being defined in their organization. We'll talk about this because this is part of operations. Okay, and they chose planning and sourcing process. Okay, for your individual businesses, you can choose a process that you want and then define it very well, like a flow chart. Okay, it could be order fulfillment process, right, or customer feedback process. Yeah. They had a few slides on supply chain. It may not make sense to most of you talking about supply chain. A few of you might be important. I would have liked to have market analysis and market information right in the beginning. They had put it quite a few slides later. Yeah, you should start with this part just after defining your problems. Then they talk about TAM, SAM, TM. Have we covered this part with you? Have we spoken about total available market, serviceable available market? No, right? So we'll talk about this today as well, yeah? TAM, SAM, TM. Yeah? So yeah, let's talk about it here itself, right? So what they are saying is their target market. They are telling me what their target market is. Okay, your TAM is what you call as your total available market. What is my total available market? For them, it's the entire urban population in Vietnam. Ideally, that could be their total available market. That's all that they can. If they had unlimited resources, they could sell it to everyone, entire urban population, right? That's their total available markets. The next part is called serviceable available market. How much can you realistically service? How many people and what part of that market can you realistically service? Right? So then they are talking about bringing it down and saying working age residents with income level B or higher, because as I said, these masks are expensive, right? They are not cheap. They are not one of your use and throw masks. So they know their market from this is going to be a little more reduced because only few people will be able to afford it, right? And who are health conscious, right? So the way it looks like is like this. So your total available market is the entire population, urban population of Vietnam. Your serviceable available market is the one who could afford it, right? And then what you're targeting over here is another subsector of it. Then you say, okay, but my target market for the first year or for the first 3 years is going to be this. Okay. Again, this is not the ideal way. If I were to put it, I would say entire urban population of Vietnam. What's serviceable for me is big cities, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, Da Nang. Not even Da Nang, that's not a problem actually. It's really Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh at the most. I don't know if any other cities are that population. They don't have that much population issues as pollution issues as such, right? And then my target market to begin with, I would say Hanoi, right? I would just say, okay, I'm going to start my target market as Hanoi to begin with, right? And then I'm going to start growing this into what I can do more and more and more. Okay? So that's really what I need from you guys as well. What's the total available market? How much of it can you realistically serve? Right? Realistically, given your team, given the location, everything else. And then what is going to be your target for the first year or for the first 2 years? That's it. Right? If you give me numbers, that's even better. If you give me numbers in terms of millions, users or money, that's even better. Okay? Yeah? Target segment. Then they had a few slides on competitor analysis. I like this part because they really went into the details of what is available out there. Right? Looking into each one of them, giving an explanation of what they offer, what are the pros and cons. Right? Some are good, some are more expensive, some are cheap but not great in terms of quality. And then they introduced their product. Right? This is their product. Went into the details of what their product has and what are the different features of that product. I mean, don't forget, this is so easy to get from AI nowadays. Right? It's very easy to get through AI. But now if I go into the details, oh, what do you mean by chemist option code? Can you give me details on that? You really need to know this. Okay? You cannot bullshit your way, right? So if you whatever you put over here, you can have amazing visuals. But whatever you put, you need to be able to back it up with data. Okay? Otherwise, don't put things that you don't know. You'll just get caught. Okay? Yeah? Yeah, then it goes into the details of how they've included the technology in it. Software and service side of things. Then they start talking about what's going to be their marketing campaign, right? Phase 1. Oh, by the way, that is true, yeah? In a highly polluted city, that's how much the pollution is. It's like almost having a newborn baby smoking 9 cigarettes in a day. Right, so it's a good awareness campaign because anybody who looks at it would go, that's crazy, that. Awareness, call to action, how they are going to go about doing it. What I did not, again, like about this one was there was no mention of the budget. How much are you going to spend on marketing? Right? Maybe it comes down in the P&L later. Startup cost, this is what we discussed right now. This is what I want from you guys now, right? How much is going to be the startup cost? You can look over here. That's quite big for a company. That's why JSC. Yeah? That was a product cost sheet. I don't need that one from you. That's really looking at their one unit is going to be this much, right? And they're just saying how much net profit are they going to make per set. I'm not looking for that from you guys. What I'm looking for is this income statement. Okay? So make sure you make proper income statements. Legal issues. For them, it was similar to you. They had issues with intellectual property. They had to protect it. Risk we discussed today, how your risk profile is going to look like. They've made that for themselves. Sustainability really depends whether you want to get into this. If you don't have this, you're not going to lose marks. Don't worry. Right? So that was the presentation. That is a presentation they gave in